lot of things have taken place in the world. A lot of more upheaval has been taking place in the world. But yet, they ask the question, in times like these, to be very sure that your hope is built on a solid rock, a solid foundation. And then how will you know the righteous during this hour, during this day and time? With all the catastrophes going on in the world and all of the upheaval in the United States and all of the different things going on between the friction between the citizens and the police, how will you know the righteous? Will they be marching?
Nope.
If so, in what direction? Will they be protesting? If so, protesting what? Will they be doing sit-ins and boycotts and whatnot? Will their heart be failing them because of fear? Well, it says that you will know the righteous because they will be walking the earth in humbleness, in a state of humbleness, a state of peace, a state of calmness of spirit. Well, I believe it was July the 9th, just yesterday, that a situation took place in Dallas, Texas, dealing with a march in downtown Dallas, Texas, of a group. Was it the 8th?
It was Thursday, yeah.
It's Thursday.
Yep.
Thank you for the correction. A group of protesters protesting the killing of 2 black men. And they were saying, in essence, enough is enough of policemen killing black people. And at that time of that particular march or protest, shots rang out. And I woke up around 3 a.m. when it was just breaking news. And at that time, it said, the news media said that 11 policemen were shot. 11. And immediately, it took me back to the number 11. And I spoke this past Sunday on the number 11 as well as the number 13. I spoke of duality. And dual meaning 2. If someone was in a duel, it's 2 people. Yeah. And I spoke of this particular climate, this particular atmosphere that's being created, and it was like a dual atmosphere. And it seems as though when I mentioned that, I at that time was talking about this atmosphere that was being created between Wesley Muhammad and Malik Zulu Shabazz in the social media that was akin to Brother Khaled and Malcolm X. And we have to be careful because they will create that same climate that will open the same door that the result will be similar to that. And so after hearing that, this past weekend, or on the 9th, or what day you said it was?
Thursday.
On Thursday, upon hearing that newscaster say 11 officers were shot, I knew then that the Creator had me speaking on duality 3 or 4 days before it was going to present itself on the world scene on another level. Now, creating that type of atmosphere, we call the people that's responsible for creating those type of atmospheres image makers.
Yes, sir.
The image makers. And then they compared what happened in Dallas, Texas to September 11th.
Yep.
Which again represented number 11. 9 plus 1 plus 1, 911. 11 again. But then I saw something else in that, number 11. The twin towers.
Yes.
Twins. So number 11 representing duality, but yet number 11 can be representing twins, right?
Yes.
And what I saw in that was they were creating an atmosphere of war,
Yes.
but an atmosphere of civil war.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And they were creating it as a smokescreen for the real war, which is a racial war between black and white.
Yep.
Right.
So the answer I had it again. So I had to do my investigation and I had to dig deep. I say, why does this police officer, the chief of police, sound just like the police officer in the series called Containment?
That's pretty good.
I hadn't looked up when I was listening to the news and I heard the voice and I looked at him and I said, he sounds just like him. So I went to the movie Containment. What's being contained? A disease, an epidemic. What do they call violence now?
Disease.
A disease.
Yes.
An epidemic. And they have to contain it, this virus now, because it's been let out. So I had to really look at it again. I had to keep digging because, see, we in the Temple of Mercy Association gets to the root of something. While something's happening on the surface, we know that it's something deeper than what we're looking at. We find out that it's much, much deeper than what we're looking at. And so I went into this thing about duality and said, what is duality? It's a natural law governing the whole of creation and life as we know it. As above, so below, in, out, up, down, right, wrong, love, hate, dual, two energies, opposite one another, where you have two sets of twins. You have identical twins, which reflect one another, and they are basically, you know, they
mirror
look
image.
just alike. They reflect or project the same image. But then you have fraternal twins. Fraternal twins who, at the same time, they may have been born, but the difference is, in identical twins, it's the splitting of the same exact egg to make them identical. Whereas in fraternal, it's actually a sperm, two separate sperms hitting two different eggs. Which means then that the child itself does not come out looking like the other one, but is totally different from the other child. And it says here, fraternal twins develop from two eggs fertilized by two sperm and are no more alike than individual brothers or sisters born at different times. So my mind quickly went to Esau and Jacob. They were twins, but they were fraternal twins. But if fraternal twins are no more alike than their individual brothers. Then I went back to Cain and Abel. Duality again we're looking at. But yet, they were totally different from one another. They had two different agendas. So we're looking at this master number of duality. And it says here, in the spiritual sense of alchemy itself, this energy is given the name primordial matter. But yet, in the science of itself, primordial matter is called chaos. What's with the chaos going on in the world today?
Come on, minister.
But in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form. And it says here, in science, it is called chaos, which is considered to be a formless substance. The earth was without form. And darkness was upon the face of the deep. Now, remember I'm talking about duality here. My subject today is the science of chaos. The science of duality. And like I said last Sunday, what I'm talking about and what I'm teaching, the people in power know exactly what I'm talking about. The people in power know the truths of what I'm saying. So, I'm going to speak a little bit more on duality. Two completely opposite and contrary poles. Last Sunday you heard me talk about those two poles called polarity. Another universal law. The universal law of duality and the universal law of polarity is one and the same law. Opposites. Completely opposite. So we now are looking at, again, somebody who's good at creating a certain image. We're looking at Hillary running for office. We're looking at Donald Trump running for office. Two, they could be fraternal twins. Because you could have fraternal twins, male and female,
Yep.
with opposing views. But basically, someone else with the same agenda for both. So here we are, Hillary, and we're voting. Here we are, Donald Trump, and we're voting. Is there something else under this whole scenario here that we are not looking at?
We can't see. That's right.
In the past, and I don't know if y'all remember me saying this, I said that the Jews were angry at Bush and they were angry at Bill Clinton because of how they took care of their issue that they had with the Palestinians. And because we discovered that there is division in the white race. Most people think white people just all together. No. There's a race of Jews who actually rule and run the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. The actual European Caucasian. They call them WASP. And the WASP actually are heavily influential Republicans. And the Jews wanted to discipline white America for constantly going against what they tell them to do concerning the Palestinians over in Israel. So just to punish them, they removed the white face as the face for America and world power and replaced it with a black face. White folks became angry. They started buying up automatic weapons. the WASP began to load up against Black America. All the stores, all the gun shops were empty on the day that the next day after Obama got into office. What does that have to do with Donald Trump? What does that have to do with Hillary? Well, in reality, what's really going on is who's going to rule the world? Are the Jews going to rule through Hillary? Or are the WASP going to regain their position on the world scene and take back the White House? Now you say, how? I still don't get it. A lot of people ain't going to get it. But I want to read something to you. I'm going away from some things, so y'all just bear with me. The term WASP has many meanings. In sociology, it reflects the segment of the U.S. population that founded the nation and traced their heritage to northwestern Europe. The term has become more inclusive. To many people, WASP now includes most white people who are not members of any minority group. WASP, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, vary in exact Protestant denomination. However, the great majority have traditionally been associated with Episcopal, Presbyterian, and other mainline Protestant denominations. Today, the usage of the term has expanded to include English. He's not a Jew. Also, families of the Protestant, Northern European, Northwestern European, Scottish Americans, Ulster Scots, Dutch Americans, German Americans, and Scandinavian Americans. This elite group dominates much politics and the economy, as well as the high culture. Well into the 20th century, Anthony Smith argues that nations tend to be formed on the basis of a pre-modern ethnic core that provides myths, symbols, and memories for the modern nation, and that WASP were indeed that core group. In the Midwest, WASP favored the University of Michigan, Northwestern University, the University of Chicago. Y'all wondering why I'm saying this now?
Come on.
Did I say about the University of Chicago before?
Yes.
They're all in our community, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Okay. Now, in Chicago, they are present in the North Shore suburbs. They're present in Barrington, South Barrington. They're present in Oak Park in DuPage County in the western suburbs. Some of the WASP Protestant denominations have the highest proportion of graduates of any other denomination in the United States. Now, I just told you about WASP, right? Now I'm going to tell you about AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, a lobbying group that advocates pro-Israel policies to the Congress and the executive branch of the United States. Now, so right now, AIPAC and the Jewish lobby control the world through their media and all that they own. If you notice, Donald Trump speaks against the Jews. They don't want him to be in office. The moment he gets into office, they no longer control the United States. Because the Jews actually enslaved the European white race. Now, y'all ain't gonna believe it. I want you all who's listening to go look up everything I say. Don't take it for face value. All right? And they want out now. They retaliating for the Jews reprimanding them and putting the black face in office, and now they're saying, this is our retaliation for what you did. This is our retaliation. We're no longer going to be under your rule. Now let's go all the way back to the Civil War.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, red and blue. Yes, sir.
Europeans that came over here to America, first they broke away from Britain. Then they wanted to become a united state. But those in the South did not want to unite with those in the North. And so civil war broke out. Those in the South were angry at President Lincoln in the North because President Lincoln said that he will free the slaves if they win the war. So, if you know the history, I'm just cutting to the chase. If you know the history, what happened? The South lost, right? To the North. There was one man named General Albert Pike, another WASP, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, who became angry. He was a 33rd degree Mason. He was head of the Luciferian Society. He said in retaliation for blacks helping overthrow them and win, that he was going to create a fraternal order, there go the word fraternity, called the Ku Klux Klan. And they will give black people hell for the rest of their life as a result of them having lost to the North. You would think that from that point, that thought would not be still on the horizon, would it?
Yeah, that should be over. You would think. Yeah.
You would think that would have been over. Now I want to get to the bottom of something. Somebody wants war. Somebody wants civil war.
Yeah.
Everybody's afraid to point at the head of who's behind this type of an operation in order to create civil war and use it as a screen to actually cover this war between, this racial war between black and white. It has been known a long time ago, they called it the Kerner Commission report. Governor of the state of Illinois put out this team to look at Americans and come back and tell them what is the challenge. He said, we have nations in America. One is black and one is white. They are separate, fraternal, and unequal. It's the same thing coming about it. Many times I'm saying fraternal, right? Brothers and sisters, stop looking at the police department and look at the fraternal order of police.
That's right.
Why isn't anybody going up against them? Why isn't anybody going up against the National Rifle Association, whose president happens to be a man by the name of Jim Porter, who said that he would be on the front line dealing with this thing, his issue he got with black people. He says that it's only a matter of time before we can own colored people again. Own again. He's the current president of the National Rifle Association. He also said, I'll be on the front line making sure that it happens. He also said, he called President Obama a fake president. A fake president. He called him a tyrant. A tyrannical president. And said that we're not going to let, how'd it go? It says in the same speech he referred to the president as a fake president. However, some of those remarks can be deemed as racist.
Some.
That's what he's saying on here. And he said, I'm very proud to be taking the lead and be the head here at the NRA. we need to really buckle down and strap on our best arguments to defend what is our God-given right. No more northern folk trying to take away what is rightfully ours. He said, I will not stand by and let some liberal elitists try to ruin what has made this country great, especially a liberal of, you know what I mean, a different breed.
Nigga, that's what he wanted to say.
That's right. They asked him to clarify that. He said, I don't have to clarify that. You know darn well what I mean. In fact, it's only a matter of time before we can own colored people. They sure as hell won't be our leaders. It's outright embarrassing.
That's a good word.
Mr. Porter from Alabama.
At least we know how he feels.
Oh yeah. He feels just like Albert Pike felt after they lost to the North.
Right. Civil War.
All right? And it says the National Rifle Association is more interested in selling assault weapons than protecting the Second Amendment.
That's correct.
Why? Because President Jim Porter is a Southern fanatic who is still upset because the South didn't prevail in the Civil War. And it was black people
That
who
helped.
defeated him.
That's the first time I've heard them admit that.
Oh, I sent you all a YouTube video. Go on my YouTube page, my Facebook page, of him speaking
No.
after he became president.
But no, that's not what I mean. I mean a general statement where a white person...
Porter explained that the NRA, when it was started because some Yankee generals didn't like the way my Southern boys had the ability to shoot. And that they started the NRA to teach and train the civilian, they ain't talking about us, in the use of the standard military firearm. And I am one who still feels very strongly that that is one of our most greatest charges that we can have today. And we wondering why assault weapons are permeating the black community. And we go into the gun shops, bothering them about it. But here's the man of the National Rifle Association letting you know he hates Obama because he's black. He's letting you know that he hates black people for helping win the Civil War. He's letting you know that he's still a Southern redneck cracker who is out to kill black people.
That's right.
Now, why do you all want to put the emphasis on this black guy saying he wanted to kill white people? What about that? Did he really say it? Did you hear him say it? No. Did they let him live long enough to say he said it? But you're going to take it for face value, right? That's what he said. Now, that's what they said. Did you ever see the person?
No.
Did you know that every time a police gets shot in this city, I can't speak for the other cities, but here in Chicago, for one, they can never find nobody who shoot another black man. But shoot a police officer, they will find anybody. Not the person who did it. I said any black body they can find, depending on, they're going to find you in 48 hours.
It's going to be on somebody.
Almost like if something happened, you got all the black men got to go get in the basement or gun up, go out there and fight. Because they're doing it to us. Now, he says here, the NRA, National Rifle Association, push to arm Americans with assault weapons is to train civilians in the use of standard military firearms so they are ready to fight tyranny. Now, who's he calling a tyrant? Who they saying they fighting now? They ready to fight who then?
Blacks.
Blacks.
Yes, sir.
So that was a staged situation with the golden opportunity to make it happen during the time of the march itself. Then we still got all these different groups coming in, just like they did with Martin Luther King. How the Jews gained everything that Martin Luther King fought for, that was for black people. Jews gained all of those privileges. Well, now you got the LBGT, you got the, I can't name all the others, but there's so many other different groups.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter, who's headed by a white man.
Wow.
You want to believe that Black Lives Matter? Okay. To him. The idea that the government under an African American president is tyrannical, you got to think about that. So now here we got Clinton and Trump. Trump is a Republican. This man is a Republican. This man is the one in his group who made sure that the federal assault weapons ban that was enacted in 1994, it expired in 2004, and they made sure that it expired without being renewed. They were the ones who were powerful enough to lift that ban. So now you got two groups lobbying for power to control the United States of America, and that's the Jewish lobby and the NRA. Fighting. Who's going to control it now? So if Clinton wins because she's backed by the Jews, they still remain in power. If Trump wins, you know what's going to happen, don't you? But y'all think he's for us.
Assault on niggas.
So are they going to wait till he get in and do it? No. I told you all, and I'm still say it, he's acting as president right now. What do you mean, brother minister? He's flying around in his own jet. He's flying around in his own helicopter. He got his own line of security equal to the president's. He's going running into places speaking before the president gets there. Talking to heads of state. Look at him. Look at him. What should black people be doing in this day and time? Should we be marching? I told you all, and I'm going to say it again, and I know you're going to think I'm racist. I do not hate white people. I don't have time to hate. Hate burns the reason. We ain't about hating nobody, but we sure about telling the truth. And we sure about steering our people out of harm's way. Because if we don't recognize the esoteric meaning of things, we have something called point number 13 in the Temple of Mercy Association of what we believe and know. And number 13 represents change, which, if you notice, Obama ran on change. Change we can believe in. What I'm saying is point number 13 for the Temple of Mercy Association says every letter's shape, sign,
And
numerical value has esoteric information that completely transcends the contextual meaning of that word. That's why number 11 just stayed with me until I got up and started looking it up. But quickly, because I told you they know the same thing I'm teaching, that number 11 shifted to 12 policemen being shot. They don't say 11.
Oh, wow.
They say 12. They added their transit authority security guard to that number and made him 12. He wasn't a police officer. He was a security officer for their transit authority. But he did serve in the war and stuff like that. So they had to change that. Now you would say, oh, minister, you tripping. They didn't know nothing about what you're talking about. Okay. I'm commissioned by God to do what I do. And Revelation 11 tells you that. Verse 1, there was given me a reed.
Uh-oh.
Like unto a rod.
Yes, sir. Saxophone reed.
And the angel stood saying, rise, measure the temple of God, and the altar, and them that worship therein. I'm not going to read the whole thing yet. I just want to read verse 1. Why am I saying all of this? what is the black man and woman to do? When I say we need to unite, like everybody's saying. If I said unite, I know we ain't finna come together in the room and do something together. We have to unite with the understanding of who we are fighting. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's the unity.
Yep. No.
The Bible mentions the prince, not the one that died, but the prince of the power of the air. Mm-hmm. Who could that be? Who has the power of the airwaves? Who has the power of radio and television? I'll let you all think about it. I'll give power to my two witnesses. It says in Revelation 11. I'll give power to them. They shall prophesy 1,203 score days, clothed in sackcloth. That means he's not going to be mega church preaching. Mm-hmm. He's not going to be part of the preachers of LA. He won't be with the group, the preachers of Detroit. He won't be Pastor Flick Jakes on television. Pastor Flick. Y'all better look. Jesus was in swaddling cloth. Jesus was the king, not the prince. I don't think y'all.
Hey, I just thought that.
And he was hidden. And he was born in the ghetto. Let me read some more, y'all. Just gave you who we fight. All of us. Every black man, every black woman need to study the NRA. Every black man, every black woman need to rise up against that group, that organization. If you want to get rid of the assault weapons in our community. If you want to get rid of those weapons of mass destruction. Ask yourself the question, why would a group that was supposedly formed in order that they might be able to have membership from people who love to hunt? They say it ain't no more fun when the rabbit got the gun. It ain't fun no more. Well, what are they hunting today? Yes, sir. It ain't rabbits. My God. Did you know that James Porter's father was the president of the National Rifle Association?
The original president, yeah.
From 1959 to 1961. Mm-hmm. Another redneck from Alabama. Mm-hmm. Told you all going to have to kind of bear with me because I'm all over the place with my information. And I'm not really finished. I will not be finished for another 5 or 6 days. Back to duality. I'm hoping you're seeing the duality in what I'm talking about. I'm showing you how, even though we're looking at Clinton and Trump, but there's an underlying war going on with white people against each other. All vying for that White House. All vying for that office as to who's going to rule this world. Ain't got nothing to do with us now. Move him out the way, and at the same time, because we teach that the enemy has at least 5 different reasons to do anything that he does. It's never one thing. It's never just this one little something that he's doing. He's underlining it with 5 or 6 things. Well, they say in chaos, there's order. Mm-hmm. Which means if they're talking about a new world order, then how are they expecting to get their new world order without chaos? Mm-hmm. So they create the climate of chaos. And I'm saying this. Somebody asked me, why do we have to have evil? It's good. Why this whole world can't be peace. I said it can. I said, but then we'll be at war with another planet. Because evil has to exist. It takes friction to create fire, and you continue to do it, it will combust into flames from energy rubbing against one another. Friction, which creates things. In other words, the world, they say the whole universe came from some explosion. So, in order for change to take place, they create the friction, but the end result, they're only looking at changing positions, but yet still having white people rule the world. But from a different position. From Europe instead of Israel. I want to say something else. In a similar manner, this same inconceivable essence, dealing with chaos, is the source and cause of consciousness. Why is that so? Because without consciousness, we wouldn't be able to understand the goal of creation and reason and cause for experiencing duality. We must insist and emphasize that without the law of duality, consciousness and creation alike would have remained formless and completely unconscious. In other words, if I wanted to say it very basic, chaos was created to heighten your awareness. Because without it, everything would be dull. That's what they basically say. In other words, when there's friction, we need to stop making excuses because we got challenges in our life. Everybody got it. And these challenges were created to bring the best out of you. Now, we're talking individuals. But what if they're trying to make change in the United States? What if they're trying to make change in the world? Then it's not an individual move. It's an actual move on the level. It's more universal. No, it's not even universal. It's international. It's an international move. So now, duality, nature. So we see that as human beings, we all belong to a distinct and varied levels of consciousness. There exists a parallel plane of reality. Since, as we said previously, creation is governed by the law of duality. Duality itself is based on the natural power of attraction between the uncreated and the created. We could add that there are numerous planes and levels of consciousness. This explains why the physical body of an illumined mystic, for example, and that of an athlete bodybuilder might not look exactly the same, one being more muscular than the other, but they both need a physical vehicle for the spirit and soul to inhabit, and it also exerts the same level of energy. That means a person that's a medium or a channeler that lets his vehicle be used by spiritual outside forces. The way we say that but we don't say we per se, but we believe that the spirit of the Creator uses human vehicles. And that if you will humble yourself enough, that the more you humble yourself, the more that energy called nature will reveal itself through you to the point that you will illuminate with so much light that another individual would not see you anymore. They will see God. They will see God Himself. You will be gone. Well, is that the level we're trying to reach? Potential then would be the person or persons who would actually suffer if we was to make our final evolution from human being to supreme being.
Wasps.
Not just wasps, but the whole entire race. Because if their time is up and our rise is inevitable, not our rise just because we're trying to talk black supremacy or something like that, but they said, a natural law says that that which is at the bottom rises to the top. It's a natural law. We're talking nature. We're talking about what's going on in the midst of chaos. Not only just the margin, I know y'all want to talk about the margin. I'm telling you what's going on in the midst of chaos. In the midst of chaos, there's two groups of white people vying for the throne. In the midst of chaos, there is a race of people here in North America considered to be the lost 13th tribe under the number 13 that is changing and evolving from human being to supreme being. And it's taking place as I speak.
Wow.
I'm not finished. I'm going back to Revelation. If you got your Bibles, it's from the King James Version of the Bible. Verse 2 says, but the court which is without the temple, leave out, and measure it not. What is a temple? A house dedicated to the observance of God. So it says, measure this temple and measure the people who worship therein. If you're measuring something, you're trying to figure out its dimensions. So now, we in the Temple of Mercy know that this room in itself is not necessarily the temple. But we, being the physical temple, can dedicate this building to God. But the true temple of God is you. This is the true house of God, dedicated to the Creator, being one with it. That being the case, it says, measure this temple, but the court that's without the temple, leave it out. Measure it not. Well, we said we're in Revelation now. Now, we're not reading Revelation, we're in Revelation. Everybody playing a part in Revelation. Everybody playing somebody's role on the world scene. And so now we got to measure the temple. We say, the blacks killing blacks. And now we fighting against the police. And I'm saying if we measure, the measure comes out imbalanced. Why? Because first, if they want to say that 95% of black people kill black people, we also know that 95% of white people kill white people.
Yep.
So you can balance that out. So that ain't the problem. Then what is the problem? Quick kill automatic weapons of mass destruction. When you killing the masses, then that's genocide. That's genocide when the police officers can kill you, and then they can take away all our rights and privileges and take away the basic needs of food, clothing, and shelter, and give us drugs and guns, and then expect us to sit on the porch with a straw in our mouth and our feet up with our toe out of our shoe and just be smiling playing the fiddle. Don't happen like that. That's what they want. That's what they think we're supposed to do. Now we hungry. We can't even do what the white Arabs do. Our brothers and sisters, they're out selling loose squares. But yet they go to the Arab stores to get the loose squares. So they're the ones selling it to them. They also give them to them to go out and sell. They don't go to jail. You go to jail for it. What's wrong with that picture? We're saying that one of the holding places for these automatic weapons of mass destruction are in these Arab-owned gas stations and in some of these Arab-owned food and liquor stores. I didn't say all of them. but they need to be investigated. Another thing we're saying, and I know a lot of people ain't going to agree with this. We're saying that all weapons of mass destruction should be eliminated totally from the black community. That's what we're saying. I'm even going to take it as far as the 6-shooter. Get rid of that too. I'm saying we need to go back to sticks and bricks and stones and fighting with our fists like it used to be. At least everybody don't die. Some people survive with a lump on their forehead or something. But we don't have to just die. And then we get our community together. Am I saying just throw them away while the other group load up with this? You take the stockpile somewhere else. That's basically what I would say. But I'm going to say this again. If we in the black community don't use the strategy and the method that Martin Luther King Jr. used of nonviolence among us in our community, we will never, ever be on the level to fight the real battle of what's coming in on us from the outside. Never. I said we have to practice nonviolence in our community among ourselves. I'm clear about why I'm saying this again. Because somebody said, why should we practice nonviolence and everybody else don't be fighting us? I said, we should practice nonviolence among ourselves. That means any outsider, if they come in and they want to do something against us in an aggressive nature, destroy it. Anything that comes into the Earth's atmosphere is treated as an enemy. It burns up. Every animal, insect that God made has a defense system. But among themselves, no fighting. Practice nonviolence among ourselves. That's the first step. We can do that in unity. We don't have to come to no meeting to do that. We can start just by calling each other brothers and sisters again on the street. When you go out your door, speak to your neighbor. How you doing? What's up? When you see your brother and sister, treat him like he's your true brother and sister. You ain't going to shoot your brother. You ain't going to shoot your sister. Words are powerful. They can heal or they can kill. And so when we saying, good day to you, peace, brother, peace, sister, that's where it starts. No meeting, no agenda, no sitting down, going back and forth about who said the right thing, whose idea we gonna take. Mine is the best. No. You can start right now. When you walk out your door, speaking to your neighbor. One sister, one brother speaking to one another. We ain't got to worry about trying to build a relationship with the police. They'll be worried about building a relationship with us once we come together and start speaking to one another. Everybody want to now stand up with the police department. All the preachers running to the police because 11 or so officers got shot. Well, let me say this. The two brothers that got shot, the one that got shot sitting in his car, the other brother that got shot laying down with had the red shirt on. Well, the latest one that got shot in the car makes number 116. See, don't try to pull that small time stuff on us. Just like in the past, you keep on telling us about 6 million Jews being killed. I feel sorry for that situation. But 200 million of us was lost in the Middle Passage before we even came over here in America. We suffered a hell of a cost. So now you want us to sit here and cry and everything over 11 police officers getting shot when we had 116 of us being killed by police.
Say that.
feel bad for the family. I don't believe no human life should be taken. I don't believe we have the authority to take life. Only God got the authority to take life. We don't want nobody's family to suffer because one of their loved ones was shot. Black, white, green, blue, red. Don't matter. Nobody wants that. I wouldn't wish that on nobody. But let's come down to some facts here about what we're looking at. We got some Negroes talking about, well, not only black lives matter, all lives matter. Well, why? Look, damn it, why you gotta say it? Mm-hmm. Who you taking up for? Did we ask the Chinese to say English lives matter? Chinese lives matter? Did we ask the Hispanics to say Hispanic lives matter? Do you see a Hispanic run around trying to champion our cause? Do you see any Koreans running around championing our cause? Do you see any Arabs running around championing our cause? And don't tell me they marching with us. I told you how they did Martin Luther King. They marched because they were trying to get their rights met, not ours. And so I'm saying the same thing. We got to champion our own cause. We have to say Black Lives Matter. Why? Because we black first.
That's right. Yes, sir.
Duh. I think we got a microchip here and walking around marching calling ourselves conscious. We're the unconscious microchip stuck between who you really are. That you gotta kiss up to another race to make them feel comfortable with you, so you want to say all lives matter. Damn it, if all lives matter, we wouldn't be marching for that cause. Would we?
No, sir.
Well, if they believe it.
Evidently, somebody don't believe all lives matter. Or maybe somebody made us forget that they never removed
3/5 of
us
man.
as being 3/5 of a human being from the
Constitution.
Constitution. So maybe that's the problem. When they say Black Lives Matter, and then we say all lives matter, if Mr. Porter here don't see us as human beings, and him being a hunter, should I say more?
Yes. Talk about this devil.
Clear. Crystal.
They say what the world needs now is love. Yeah, it might need it. And I agree, it needs love. There's a lot of things this world needs. But I'm going to champion you to start at home. Charity begins at home. So in order for the world to get love, we need to be seen exercising that love among ourselves as a people. And put your guns up. Don't give them to the police. Put your guns up. If a law go out that everybody gonna disarm and nobody gonna have guns but the military and the police officers go back to the good clubs and whatnot, then I say give yours up too. But until that happens, I say put your guns up. Just put them up. Exercise love between one another. We can do this. Nobody's gonna save us from us, for us, but us. Going downtown to Michigan Avenue is not going to stop the shooting in the community. It's not going to do it. Those big department store owners might be funding the weapons, but they truly, in essence, can't do nothing if we stop shooting each other. They couldn't make us do it again. Matter of fact, they have to go back to the drawing board with something new. I'm saying that without a shadow of a doubt, somebody's trying to kill us. Somebody's trying to take us out as a people. Somebody know that our final evolution as the lost 13th tribe is to evolve into God. Now how can you think we're going to still be the footstool if we God? Possible. So, it says here, Revelation 11, verse 3, I'll give power to my two witnesses. They shall prophesy 1,260 days clothed in sackcloth. These are the two olive trees and the two candlesticks standing before the God of the earth. Now, metaphysically, the two candlesticks and the two olives represent love and wisdom, which means that true divine love, and divine means after the manner of God, true divine love and true divine wisdom after the manner of God has to come from us toward one another in order to start the change process. It ain't going to happen until we do it, y'all. I'm giving us information that we can do without having to sit down and have a big meeting.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we know economics is one of the ways. But how can you build a community and not rebuild the minds of the people in the community? Because all they're going to do, if you don't rebuild their minds, is tear it back down. So what part of the mind should we be building? We should be building the God mind of our people. That's the mind. But we don't believe in God. Well, you better call on somebody greater than who you've been calling on. You better call on somebody besides the mayor. You better call on somebody besides the government. The president, the alderman, the congressman. If you don't believe it's good with yourself, we these men hurt them, fire proceeded out of their mouth and devoured their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must in this same manner be killed. Yes, I'm one of those olive trees. I represent the God of love. Not any kind of love, but God's love that don't fail. God's love that conquers all. Why would I say that? Because how can you consider yourself a messenger or a man of God and you don't love what God created? That's impossible. You can't stand on the pulpit talk about you a minister, pastor, or whatever, and you don't love what God created. You supposed to love the sinner, but hate the sin. Whatever the transgression is, you hate. But the person, you supposed to love. They said that perfect love casts out fear. That means that whatever going on in this world, if you have a perfect love, you don't have to walk outside and be afraid of the police. You don't have to walk outside and be afraid somebody's going to carjack you, snatch your phone, shoot you at the gas station and all that. If you have perfect love, it casts out fear. God is love. Love is God. God's love conquers all. Can't get away from those things. These witnesses have the power to shut heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy. And they have power over waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will. Now, turning the water to blood, brothers and sisters, only means that the blood of the earth will be spilled in the water. Earth's blood is oil. And if you look in Revelation, wherever you saw them talking about a revelation about the water turned to blood, it's letting you know about the oil spills that you've been reading and hearing about in the news. Showing you that revelation is already taking place. Then when it says that the moon turned to blood, when they were going up against Saddam Hussein, they showed an image on worldwide worldwide news. If it's worldwide, that means it happened in Revelation. That they were burning the oil fields. And the smoke from the oil fields and the heat from it was rising up into the atmosphere. That when you looked at the sun and the moon, it was red. Red like blood. It's already going on. With Revelation, when they talk about the vials being poured out and plagues being upon the earth, it's talking about scientists on the planet creating viruses like AIDS.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Ebola,
sarcoidosis, and all of those different things that they create for us, to destroy us, to keep us from making our final transition. I know I sound like a madman to some of you, but I promise you that over time, you're going to eat the words that you're saying that are negative against what you hear me talking about. Because it's going to prove itself to be true. I know this. As they say in the old school, been there, done that. They have power to shut heaven, so it won't rain. How do we know these children of the 13th tribe, have their power? All we got to do is look at what happened during the time of Moses, a black man, who didn't go in Pharaoh's job, who didn't go in Pharaoh for a grant. He didn't go to the king and say, can I propose it? And you can press this money. We'll chart an independent path for ourselves and build our communities. And then they granted him a grant. You know how it is today. Well, I'm saying that Moses went to the government and said, look, we ain't marching. We ain't doing none of this. I'm here to say, let my people go. Let us go. Let us chart our own independent path. Let us do for ourselves. And when Pharaoh didn't do it, then here's the great fear that the Caucasian has. Is that Moses sent the plagues through nature. Why? Because he was one with things that were natural. He was one with the nature. In the word nature, you can hear the word nature. In the word nature, you hear the word natural. The word nature is a Kemetic word that means God. Moses was God, y'all. Why? Because he was exhibiting God powers. He was sending locusts. He was sending bees. He was killing the calves. He was sending frogs. That means that nature was his weapon. I'm telling the black man and woman, nature is your weapon. Get back in line with nature. Get back in line with things that are natural to us. Stop eating unnatural food. Stop doing unnatural things that are not in line with nature. The Bible talks about not doing things that are unnatural. Unnatural. Unalike. Become one with God. You'll have the power to stop it from raining, to start it to rain, to unleash locusts everywhere, bees. You're under your power.
The birds.
Under your authority. There's a part in Revelation that tells you that the birds themselves will be pecking folks in the head and destroying the kings and the queens and those in authority. Who has a Bible? Somebody find it for me. It's in Revelation. I can find it, but I'm teaching right now. But when you find it, I want you to read it so they can hear this. A lot of people say, but the Bible is the white man's book and this and that. Look, every book that's put on the market, you give it to the white man to publish for you. So, if that's the white man's book, how do we negate the truth that's in it? What type of creator or even inventor will create something and make it easy for you to get? Well, truth is the same way. Truth is hidden. Truth is not on the surface. Truth is not always face value. It ain't always what you see when you see an individual. You got to go deep. And so why then wouldn't truth be hidden? Truth be hidden in the Quran. The truth is hidden everywhere you go. But you got to have a discerning spirit and learn how to pull truth from falsehood. And it's everywhere. Don't be fooled by the okie doke. This war that white people are waging against themselves is because the European slave of the Jewish world is trying to separate himself from his form of slavery that he's been under ever since the Jews been in power. That's what's going on. I know people don't want to hear that, but you're going to hear it. And God told me to read that part of Revelation and tell you, yeah, it might be that time, but you better know that I'm one of those trees in Revelation. When they shall have finished their testimony, that beast ascends out of the bottomless pit, and it shall make war against them and shall overcome them and kill them. Now, I'm going to skip a part because I want to show you something. That was Revelation 7. I'm going to go to Revelation 11. At 7, they killed them, right? 7 is a number 2. But at Revelation 11, since we on 11, it says, after 3 days and a half, the Spirit of life from God entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. Yeah. Just like you can fake somebody's death, old white man, so can the Creator. They can fake it like they did. And you think they did, and you're not. I'll say this, I don't like to, but I have to. The Holy Quran said, and they thought they killed a man, but it was made to look that way. The man they were talking about was the one they called Yeshua. Or some say Jesus. They said it was made to look that way. And the we say that Yeshua never died on the cross. That he was taken up by one of our ancestors. And he watched the whole proceeding still take place, but Judas had taken his place. We're saying that the same way the mafia and any of these white aristocrats, whenever they're able to fake someone's death, do a fake funeral, give them another name, give them another social security number, and have them live somewhere else, how can they outdo the Creator and say that we can't have that done for us? Ask yourself, why was Malcolm X in his coffin with a glass covering over it? And why did the coroner say that when they did an autopsy on Malcolm X, they said he had the cleanest insides of any human being that they had ever seen, as if he had never ate a meal in his life? But who took his place? Was there Malcolm in there? Think about it. Think about it. What about Martin Luther King? Why did they have a glass for his coffin? Why am I saying this? I'm trying to give black people hope. I'm trying to tell us that if we lay down our life, we'll take it up again.
Yes, sir.
I'm saying that if you believe that you can become God on earth, but you got to first believe that he exists. You got to believe that that energy, that great mind that produced all that we see right now, that same energy. Don't you hear the word energy? Listen to this. Energy. In nature. In God. Talking about us.
We trust.
I'm talking about us. I know It's going to take all a while to decipher what I'm saying. But I'm saying that if you believe that you are God's people, and you are, and you don't want to be part of those who are going to be cast aside, because inside of the chosen are the chosen few. It's not by mistake that the Caucasian, to this very day, looks upon us when it comes down to what would I call it? Saying what the number of our population is. Mm-hmm. It always comes out to be 13. Mm-hmm. Think about that.
13%, yeah.
I said we the 13th tribe, and they said we 13% of the population, and they saying that the 13th Amendment frees us. Look at all these 13s. We are that lost 13th tribe. But the energy that we rule under is 11. The energy number is 11. Now, let's look what's under the number 11 energy. Y'all ready for this?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Under the number 11 energy, which y'all got to give me a minute. First, they call it a master number. Under this master number are the messengers, are the artistic people, artists like music and painting and things like that. Energetic, enthusiasm, all these words are under there. Spiritual, mystic, angels of creative communication. Master numbers are highly charged frequencies that have the potential to tap into the universal archetypes of mastery, of leadership, healing, creativity, wherever they are found. Dr. Webb Evans was under the master number 11. His birth date was 11/20. And he was under the number 13, the year 2013. He was under that. He was a special person to our movement. When fully experienced in the positive of 11, the master numbers are portals to heaven for the ultimate purpose of bringing a particular aspect of heaven on earth. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That's duality. As above, so below. The manifestation of heaven being shown and exhibited right here on this planet. But heaven is in your head. And if you want heaven to be manifested on earth, it's got to come through us. It's got to come through the black man and woman in North America. I mentioned the twins, didn't I? I mentioned under number 11, that's where Hillary and Trump stands, right? I mentioned fraternal twins. I mentioned Esau and Jacob. There's a part in there concerning Esau and Jacob that their mother, when she was pregnant with them, cried out to God because she was wondering why there was so much activity going on in her womb. And she was told that there was a fight going on in her womb. There was a war going on in her womb. Said you got two. Said, but they oppose one another. They hate one another. And they're fighting before they came into the world. What is that saying? Cain and Abel. Cain didn't like his brother. Why? Because he was Abel. All kind of Cain is killing us. Cocaine, sugar cane. Cocaine and sugar cane have the same properties. Basically, one molecule difference. So this Caucasian is using sugar as a weapon to kill us off. Not only just cocaine, but sugar, guns. All because we don't want to go back to that which is natural. All because we don't want to go back to that which is nature and become one with nature, become one with the insects, the animals, the trees, the grass, the flowers, the plants. That's all. That go your solution. That's all we got to do. No meetings. Just start right now where you are. Look on the dinner table. Look at what you're putting in your mouth. Look at what you're reading. Look what you're putting in your brain. You got to put some positive food in there. Look at the music you're listening to. It is up to us to change the music, to be something positive, to give back to our people. Why are we waiting for the major record companies to pick up people to do positive stuff when we know they're not going to do it? Mm-hmm. We got to create our own entertainment industry. Now we got to do it. We can. We've done it before. We had Motown. We had LaFace Records.
Yes, sir.
So who say we can't do it again? Every time one of us try to do it, if you don't do what they tell you to do, they kill you. Prince was on his own. Michael Jackson was on his way being on his own. I'm trying to tell you, the way it's a song say, ain't no love in the heart of the city. Ain't no love in the heart of the white man for the black man.
That's right. Yes, sir.
I know you don't want to hear that.
Ain't no love.
That's a song. I love that song.
Bobby Blue Bland.
Bobby Blue Bland.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I know some of y'all gonna be upset now. I know y'all got these white friends. I didn't say you can't work with them, walk with them, talk with them, be on the same job with them, go to lunch with them, laugh and joke with them. But you gotta do like they do. They go back to their own neighborhood. And then they mingle among each other. They party with each other. And then they wake up the next day and they go downtown and hang with you again. They hang with you on the boat, after work sit. They hang with you everywhere. It don't matter. Because they know what you know now. You don't know yourself. I wouldn't mind hanging with somebody that's dunce and dumb, don't know who they are. You don't cause me a threat. You ain't a threat to me if you don't know who you are. But the moment you wake up and know who you are, you'll walk different. You'll talk different. You won't look at this white man as inferior to you or this white woman, because that's how she feels. Hell, you make white trash feel like royalty.
That is true.
Wow.
Now you know why they're with you now. Oh, now you said you ain't racist. That ain't racist. That's truthless. Truth is, yeah, I create my own words too. My Haynes Dictionary, I'll call it. Because we use the power to define, the power to defend, and the power to develop that which is in the best interest of black people. It's called black power.
Yes, sir.
That phrase was coined by our own professor, Huey P. Newton, of the original Black Panther Party. And it's time that we pick that phrase up and use it for our own rise. So now, look what's in the atmosphere, though. You got the climate that's been created in order for them now to find who are the people listening to. Who is Black America listening to? Why? So they can silence his voice. See, Cain represented the white man. Abel represented the black man. If you take the word and say it slowly, it's Abel. Abel, back in the days of old with Paul Revere, was a warning
Device.
instrument. Used to warn the people when some outsiders and some intruders were coming in. And I think he would be running, ringing it,
That's right.
saying the British are coming.
That's right.
The British are coming. In the Bible, it says that the voice of Abel and his blood was crying from the ground. So I'm saying that Abel was a voice. Abel was a warner. And Cain wanted to snuff out that voice. Wanted to snuff out the warner. What type of relationship did Abel, the warner, have with his creator? Everything Abel did in the eyesight of the creator was reflected through him to his people around him. Which means that God in his presence flowed through him because he was humble enough to receive it. Well, Cain was competitive. He did not want to humble himself to that essence. He wanted to prove himself to be above that. He wanted to prove himself to be equal to that. That whatever you can do, Abel, I can do better. Well, today, you got to look at something. When Trump built the Trump Tower, do you think he gave all praises to the Creator? Or did he say, look what I can do just like what you did? When they make a new heart, plastic heart, and put it in a person's body that they made, and they give you a new set of lungs, you think they say after they put it in the person's body, all praises due to the Creator? Or do you think they say, look, God, I can do the same thing that you can do? Do you think that's what they might have been saying? Or do you think they praise God? No, they're God of this earth. They are the gods that's ruling. And they know another God is on his way. They know that another God is on the set, is on the scene. They know that the voice of the minister Louis Farrakhan is telling you about the God. They know that the voice of Minister Raheem is telling you about the God. But the voice of Minister Raheem is telling you about the God within. It's telling you about the voice of God within trying to get out. Not trying to march, not trying to protest, not trying to boycott, but trying to pull ourselves together with love. Love, divine love. Divine again meaning after the manner of God. So now when I say come out of her, and I've been teaching, come out of her, my people, so that we won't suffer her plagues. Key word is her plagues, America's plagues. We're not supposed to suffer America's plagues. I hate to tell you this, brothers and sisters, but diabetes was for them, not us. High blood pressure was for them, not us. Every other ailment that we are suffering was for them, not us. But they tricked you into their diet, and now you suffering their plagues. Come out of her. Come out of her diet. Come out of her entertainment world. Let's build our own. Let's have our own supermarkets. Not Whole Foods. Why should we be looking for Whole Foods? They coming into our community and they're going to serve you Whole Foods.
Yes.
From the other Whole Foods. How do we know this? Because we knew and taught in the 90s that Jules and Dominick's was giving us food from other Dominick and Jules stores in the white neighborhoods 2 and 3 days after it's set on their shelves. And we was receiving that food in our community. Do you think a leopard changes his spots? No, if don't nobody expose him and talk about him, he gonna keep doing it. So if they gonna bring a Whole Foods to Inglewood using the same method, then Whole Foods, brothers and sisters, is Whole Food. And you will be able to afford it.
Yeah. Old food is cheap.
Look how they got us in our diet. to keep us from making our change. Because what they do now, they remove Jules, they remove Dominic, and gave you food for what?
Less.
Oh, less what?
Less
Nutritional
nutrients.
value.
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to tell you what's going on. You gotta save a lot. Where you can go in and save a whole lot of money, but no nutritional value.
I do not.
None.
Monsanto.
So now you think you're getting whole food? Okay. Well, Brother Minister, they letting us bring food from our garden and put them on the shelves.
Oh, seriously?
You think Monsanto gonna go for that?
I know.
They don't even know who Monsanto is.
I know.
You don't.
I told you half of what I'm saying. You need to look it up. I'm not gonna look all this up. When you find out who Monsanto is, you'll find out what I'm talking about. He ain't gonna go for that. If he ain't getting no cut, where he can make seeds that don't germinate other seeds, but you can only use it one time, and those plants don't produce other seeds, so that you gotta go back to the government to get seeds every year so that they can make some money. The GMO, genetically modified organisms,
Super apple.
Frankenfood they call it.
Yes. Yeah, big food. Big chicken wings. All that little
They
crap.
say one day, you ain't gonna know the difference. You gonna order 6 wings and they gonna be done came from one chicken. Probably like that already.
Yes, it probably is.
Look, I'm gonna let you go, but I'm not gonna let you go until I wrap it up by sharing with you that there's more than one situation taking place at the same time. You got this man that's president of the National Rifle Association on an all-out mission to kill black people. That's it, to kill us. By any means necessary. He said, I'm on the front line. I read that to you. He said, I'm on the front line making this thing happen. So if he's on the front line, what does that say for you and I? Especially if years ago, they used to always have us on the front line as a shield for their dirty work in the Korean War, in the Vietnam War, in Afghanistan, in Iraq. We were on the front line as a shield. Now, this John Porter, the cracker from Alabama, I ain't talking about Ritz either. I got some people calling me. They probably people saying stuff on there.
Facebook Live.
Yeah.